why they say room temperature because it relaxes. I don't give a fuck. I want ice cold water. Do you have an intro that you do?
Yeah, you know what's crazy?
What?
Probably some what you just said is probably gonna be an intro. You know how you do your podcast? It's like we're already rolling.
Yeah.
You know how this goes.
Child. I don't code switch. So when you say action or not, you're gonna get me all
right, and that's perfect. That's literally how it is. But I'm really excited for this interview because I feel like, first off, I've known you for about a year now.
A year and a half.
Yeah, a year and a half. And
because the half is when you left me.
Yeah, exactly.
You left me at the year mark, so it's been a half.
So exactly, now we're at the half mark, and it's like I learned a lot with working with you.
I can imagine what that looks like for you.
It's a lot. We're gonna unpack it. Learned. See, look, we're gonna unpack it right here.
He knows the language. I'm so proud of you. Which one's my camera? I don't want to be looking at the curtain.
So that's your main one, but if you're ever talking, I'm gonna be changing the close.
Oh, okay, cool.
So you can always look at this one too.
So
but that's the main one.
Yeah, I just didn't want to be talking to the curtain like, yeah, and then.
Exactly that. But yes, like you said, I've known you for a year and a half.
I know.
And I started working with you as your assistant and met through my mentor, DJ Damage. And working with you was one of my first jobs out here in LA. And
really?
Yeah, it was one of them.
Like
my other job. I had like 2. You know, in LA, you gotta have 1,000
jobs.
jobs.
You had like 3, but okay, yeah.
I did have like 3 jobs. You ain't lying. No cap, no kizzy. So like that.
I mean, I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
I mean, Behan completely poached you from everybody because, you know, I can't compete with the razzle dazzle.
Brian stole me and he won't let me go. I got a grip on me. And everybody's like, Brian.
I had dinner with Brian 2 days ago. It was fun. And my biggest thing was I was like, I'm going to make this man laugh because he has too much on his plate. And, you know, halfway through, he started cackling.
How long have you known Brian?
Oh, God. How long have I known Brian? Maybe like 2 years.
Okay, so
And we shut down the restaurant. We went to Harold and
Well, I don't
Bell's.
think y'all have known each other longer than 2 years.
People thought I've known you longer than a year and a half. To me, it's about the quality, not how long you've known somebody. There are folks I've known for like 20 years, and it's a trash connection. And there are folks I've known for 3 months.
And it's like...
And we like besties.
Magic.
Like, for me, it's about like where you're at, not how long I've known you. Because a lot of folks rely on you being like, yo, I've known you since we were kids, to like feed you bullshit.
Right. And that means nothing.
No.
My family has known my whole life, and that don't mean that gives them
it went there. I mean, that's true. I have a couple of uncles who I would not answer the phone for.
You see me?
I love you. I'm not answering the phone for you.
I'm not. And people think it's weird, but like, you know, I always see these quotes and these posts about like, you know, just because they're family does not mean I don't have to have these boundaries and these stipulations in place. They don't mean you can treat me any kind of way you want to because you're family.
But intention matters too, right? Like, do you mean me well? Mm-hmm. My 2 questions that I've been asking a lot is, do you mean me well? That means that if something good happens for me, will your smile go all the way to your eyes? Because in LA, everybody has to say congratulations because they're supposed to, but not everybody's excited about saying congratulations. Like, you have to be hype about...
Like everybody's at the premieres and the watch parties and etc. They're really just there to say I'm there.
But no, if you mean it, that shit means something. And also too, like, do you trust my heart? Because I'm at the point now where I'm so consistent. Like, Lamar, you've seen me. I'm very consistent.
Yes.
Good day, bad day. It's Gucci all the time. And so, like, if you don't trust me by now, you don't want to trust me.
Right.
So if you don't trust my heart, like, we can't be friends. I ended a 25-year friendship because he was still expecting me to tap dance to prove myself. I said, bro, if anybody else gonna be judgmental, it would have been me.
Yeah,
like, you're the messy, inconsistent one. You want me to prove myself?
Nah,
say less. Free yourself.
Go ahead. And
okay, Fantasia. I felt it. I felt it coming the minute I said it.
You said it. It was like...
I am so big on people taking up the space in my life that they're supposed to.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't beg.
And like, and I've been able to learn that. You know, working with you, and you taught me a lot. You know,
God. You resisted it.
I did, and we didn't always see eye to eye, but...
No, we did. Because whenever here's the thing. Your ego would flare up, and then you would come back and be like, I see your point. So you always came around. So I'm going to give you credit for that. It wasn't like we didn't see eye to eye. It was just, there was some unlearning that had to happen.
And I learned.
And the perfect example is we only know what we've seen previously. And I don't think you've ever met anybody like me before. So it took you a while to be like, oh no, she's not trying to insinuate. She's really saying what the fuck she means. Oh, can we swear?
Yeah, you can. No, you good. Yeah, I'm going to say, you can say whatever the hell you want to.
So you were doing something that I call shadow boxing. When you're used to people who don't say what they mean, then you get used to having to translate. Like, oh, she's saying this, but she's trying to say this.
Yeah.
When you meet somebody who has no translation,
like, this is...
you run in circles by yourself for a while before you realize they're not joining you. You're like, oh no, she really said what the fuck she meant. And once you realize that, we were Gucci. Yeah. It was just like, Lamar, like, I really said what I meant. Okay. And the thing I love about you is you were a sponge. I saw you soaking it up.
I tried to. She wanted me to have all these emotions. We're going to get into emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence is going to save your life.
That's like your whole world. I feel like
That's
like
everybody's whole world.
It should be everybody's whole world.
I'm just cognizant of it.
Yeah.
No. Here's the thing: emotional intelligence rules all our lives. Those of us who have it, we are maneuvering through it, and those of us who don't have it are flailing and mad and wondering why. But we're all at its mercy, though. I'm just aware.
When did you feel like you became aware of, like, when did you really like really grasp it? I mean, I would assume it wasn't like always that way. I'm sure you had it last year.
Yeah, no, my family was not equipped at all. There's not a single emotionally intelligent person in my family.
And they're all Scorpios.
They're all Scorpios and one Sag, so that's not helping much. I was like, damn, out of the pot into the fire, right? 23, because I got paid to learn about it. Like, I didn't choose emotional intelligence.
But it told you?
Yeah, it chose me. I would have I would have been a hot ass mess. Everything that you assumed I would have been her. But I got a job working for the Harvard School of Public Health, and they needed a writer to write about emotional intelligence. Wow. So I had to learn on the job.
A lot of research?
Like we were in a think tank. So they literally had me in a think tank for 2 years with all these academics. I'm fresh out of college, come from a messy ass Afro-Latin West Indian family, not a lick of emotional intelligence in sight. Mm-hmm. And now I'm being paid to teach little kids something that I didn't even fucking learn. I was like, oh, this is awkward. Lucky for me, like you, I was a sponge. And so I was taking notes. And then, I cried a lot after work. I was like, wait a minute, my family's fucked up. Like, there were times I would leave work like, wait, if this is true, then I need to have some phone calls with my family and them. So I quickly realized during that job that emotional intelligence was the missing link. And it changed my life. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, well, if it could change my life, it could change other people's lives. And the first person I started off with was my best friend. I was like, hey, so it's come to my attention that the way that we communicate is like incredibly toxic. He's like, I was like, yeah, and here's the thing. Me being emotionally intelligent means I can't force you to join me, but I'm about to go through this new path of like changing the way that I talk to myself and others. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give you 24 hours to decide if you want to join me or not. No, it wasn't an ultimatum at all. It was like, I'm about to shift. And if you don't want to come with me, I won't be upset. But the way that we talk to each other can never happen again. Wow. That's what he said.
It will happen in 24 hours.
And mind you, this is like a 25-year-old man. He's like, what? He's like, what the fuck?
What did you talk about?
I said, I was like, no. The way that we argue, the way that we talk, the way that we sass each other, it's all toxic. I'm tapping out. And I'm about to change on you. Mm-hmm. And I don't want you to feel like what's going on. So I'm giving you context and letting you opt in or opt out. He called me an hour later like, I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm in. And he was the first person that I ever learned how to teach it to.
So much unpacking that we're going to do this episode. Welcome to another episode of Live with Lamar. I'm your host, Lamar Robinson. And this is the magnificent Telusma. She's finally here on the set. I remember talking to her about this vision and having this talk show setting, helping her with her own podcast. We're going to tap into Humanized.
Mm-hmm. I remember going to the furniture store and now look at the chairs. They're here.
She actually was my true exposure to IKEA because I had ran into IKEA when I moved to Tampa, but I never
supposed to say it's IKEA because it looks expensive.
Oh, you're right. It's not.
It's not IKEA. It's West Elm, y'all.
It's right. Whatever that is. I see it's so expensive. I don't even know what it is.
It's CB2.
It's whatever that is too. Don't even know what that is. Play it off, okay, you're right. Yes, what she said.
No, you were amazing. And to your testament, we did a workshop without you, the first one without you. And when I said pluses and deltas, like what could be better about the workshop? They were like, where's Lamar?
Oh, not they missed me. Hey guys.
They were like, where's Lamar? Carmen, you remember Carmen? She came back for another workshop. She was like, yeah, I miss when you had Lamar because you used to look stressed doing the admin on your own. Please don't come for me. But she's right though. You kept me afloat, so I can't thank you enough.
I appreciate that. I mean, you kept me. You stressed me out with them candles. You use this comparison of the Karate Kid.
Wax on, wax off. Yeah, you were.
And I never knew how much making candles and molding candles and wrapping candles and the label would be such a teaching lesson and so much patience.
It's cathartic.
I've literally been able to apply just that whole process to
it makes you focus. Like making candles
you have no
makes
choice
you focus.
but to fucking focus.
Because if you don't pay attention, you have to start all over again. I had to fix
a lot of different things. She's like, Lamar, gotta fix that. Gotta start over. I'm like,
that candle's not usable.
I'm like, damn it.
You were never part of the ritual part, though. I didn't want to scare you. Lamar's scared a little bit. You still scared of magic? I mean, you spent a year in a magic candle shop and you still scared of magic?
At this point,
You even made your own magic candle once.
I did. It was called, I don't even remember.
What was it called?
It was something.
It was something cheeky.
Something great. Something me.
It was like get off my dick or something like that.
No, legitly something like that.
Something,
It was a great candle.
Well, I'm happy that like in retrospect, you appreciate the experience. Because one of my previous assistants, she. Sometimes I get the kids and shout out to the LGBTQ plus community.
The Alphabet Mafia. Shout out to y'all.
Yeah. One of my former assistants fought me all the time back in the day. And like you, eventually was like, oh, this is supposed to be teaching me something. And the very next job after me, she ended up working with Spike Lee. And Spike Lee came to her and said, you were different because you had a better work ethic. Correct. And she called me and she was like, I'm sorry for all the times that I cussed you out.
And that's one of the things that I take away, like, I was able to, like, even though I definitely got annoyed and something, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, I can't, like, it shit.
It was meticulous.
But and it's just like, it taught me to how to work under someone. Everybody has different managerial styles and things like this, but it taught me like a different way of like, okay, like being particular and paying attention to details and not rushing. And so I feel like it prepares me as I continue to get further into the industry because, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's
everything
so many different.
We did is what it takes on set.
Right.
There's no feelings on set.
Right.
I once was doing a short film and one of my actors was crossing the street. And so, when you're waiting for the light to change, I saw her across the street get a phone call. She got a phone call that her best friend had just died of AIDS.
Yes.
By the time she crossed the street, she shook it off and was back on set. Because here's the thing, that's a horrible thing, but we're paying thousands of dollars. People have literally changed their schedules for this. We don't get to cry with you right now. You can cry after.
Yeah.
And so it sounds cold to the regular public, but it's actually it forces you to be like, there's no feelings on set. It's not fair to everybody else because she was going through something rough, but she didn't know that somebody else, they needed that check to pay their rent. So they're not going to pay your rent because you were sad crossing the street. It was a bad thing that happened, but I'm telling you, production is not for the weak of heart because it teaches you how to compartmentalize your emotions.
And so much. And then helping with your podcast obviously helped me, design and come on this. So it's like,
I should definitely have you on Humanized. I was waiting.
I'm waiting. I'm ready.
I'm pew, 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 pew.
Pew, 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 pew. You need some Scorpios in the mix. But the most important, like you mentioned, I want to make sure we tap into it. You do have an emotional intelligence workshop that you do.
Yes.
And it's getting ready to get it revved back up and started back up next month.
Yes, next month. I should give the URL. What is it? I do everything on Eventbrite.
Yes.
Because I don't have...
OTS.
Yeah, OTS 2022. And OTS stands for On Thy Shift.
I just say on that shit.
I know, because that's what it's supposed to be tongue in cheek, but your tongue was always in your cheek, Lamar.
Always.
So because here's the thing, you can't change anybody before you own your own shit.
You gotta own your own shit.
The easiest way for me to not feel safer on someone is to watch them critique everybody in the room but themselves. I don't trust that. Because if you can see everybody so clearly, but you can't tell me what you did.
I pride myself on being self-aware. I think that's so important to be able to tell. Like, I literally, I'll call my own bullshit before something. I'm like, yeah, I know I was fucking wrong there and that. I did this wrong. Like, that's literally like, oh, I love it. I never was that way. Over the years, I've grown and grown and grown. But now, like, I'd rather call out my own shit before somebody else.
I appreciate that because a lot of people, I know men in their 30s.
They won't. People don't know how to. They won't.
And you know what's so crazy, too? It's like, you have to be willing to say, my way is not the only way.
Correct.
And accuracy, like being right is not enough of a reason to be an asshole.
Two things can be true.
Yeah, two things can be true, right? Like the way that you feel is always valid. It's your actions that aren't valid. So if you feel a way, that's valid. But you showing your ass because you felt a way, not so valid. Also, too, it makes you a victim when you don't own your shit.
Oh, Jesus, baby.
So everybody did something to you. You didn't do nothing.
You did nothing wrong.
So you're Jesus.
Everybody wants to play video.
Levitate. Let me, since you're Jesus, let me watch you levitate. And so, yeah, I've had a couple people that I love deeply that I'm currently mourning because I've never seen them take accountability, which means I'm not safe. Because the minute we have a disagreement, guess what's about to happen? I'm about to be a villain because you're always the victim.
You're the bad guy. I'm the angel today, guys. I'm wearing all white.
I'm wearing all black, which is hilarious considering, Brian actually had me take a test, a human design test. I think I told you this. And it said that my ego was actually underdeveloped. And people always assume that confidence and ego are
the same and they're synonymous, and they're not.
Your ego is meant to protect what's weakened. So if you're confident, you actually don't need your ego as much.
Absolutely not.
So there's nothing to protect. Like I don't need to protect a persona. I don't need to protect being right because I don't need to be right.
Yeah.
My thing is you can either protect your ego, or you can protect somebody's heart. So if we're having a disagreement right now, right? Of course I'm smart. I talk fast. I could think of a million ways to just say mean.
She's smart as hell. She be saying shit. I'm like, what did you just say, Blue?
I get that a lot. But I could think of a million ways to say something mean, right? Because I want to be right. That's protecting my ego.
Yes.
Or I could say, hey, Lamar, I want to connect with you. We don't agree. Let's unpack this. That's me protecting your heart. So whenever I'm having a conversation with somebody, my first thing to pay attention to is what are you protecting? Your ego or my heart? And if your instincts tell you to protect your ego and throw me under the bus, we're not allies.
See how you always see this?
What are you making that? Lamar, you were in this for a year. You should be used to this now.
Not by choice.
I know you were in the emotional intelligence.
And I just been sitting there like this, and Blue like, Lamar, where's your pen at? Where's your paper?
Take the quiz with the
too.
class.
Take the test. I'm like, I don't want no feelings.
But you had so many feelings, Lamar.
I don't want no feelings.
But they're there regardless. Where are you with it now? Are you still not wanting your feelings?
No, it's been a hell of a year and a half. I'm a different person than how I enter here. I came from Florida.
Yeah, they really don't want feelings in Florida.
I came from there. I'm out here with all this. Everybody's talking about zodiac signs and feelings and emotions and tribes and unpacking. And I'm like,
it's survival.
Yes, I mean, yes.
Like you can't, like this town without that would drive you crazy.
Absolutely.
Quite literally.
Because there's so much shit that be going on in LA.
So what is next for you?
How do you interview me on my own?
I'm just curious.
Honestly, I just want to continue to grow.
Okay.
That's a safe answer.
It's a really safe answer. That's why I looked away. Okay.
You know what I mean?
I'm not going to push. This is your interview. My bad. I'm going to go back. Sorry. I'm so used to asking.
What's next with me?
I just work here.
Find out on my upcoming episode of Humanized.
Ooh, that's true. You are going to come up on the upcoming episode of Humanized.
You see what I'm saying? So when I have my time, we'll be able to unpack everything.
Yeah, I would be very curious to ask you questions, particularly about your love life.
Okay. So you've been doing this emotional intelligence workshop for how many years? You have...
Oh, God. You're about to make me feel old. I have been
2008?
I've been doing the work, I've been doing the workshops since 2008, but I've been working with emotional intelligence since 2003.
What is your favorite part of the class?
My favorite
curriculum, I should say.
Yeah, my favorite part of the curriculum is probably the last class, where everybody has to like admit what they've learned and like kind of encapsulate it, because it never gets old watching how much people change. I've had folks be like, I literally would not have gotten engaged had I not taken this class.
And mind you, your students are all shapes, sizes, colors, ages, like
races.
Like you got women there like in their 60s. And like the one time, the mother and daughter, and she was way older, and she's in here. It's like being able to go back.
We had two mothers and daughters. It was like a
like
a 60-year-old mom and her 35-year-old daughter, and then it was like a 40-year-old mom and her 19.
20, she was very young.
Very young, yeah. And I've had a couple of people who were like, I want my husband to take this after me. I don't want to be in the room with him. No, I've actually had a lot of therapists join too.
Really?
Yeah, the last one we did, there was therapists, and there was a couple of people who were in this realm, because people think just because you're a therapist
that you don't need
that you're emotionally intelligent. Y'all, that is not the truth. And by the way, can I just educate them real quick?
No, please, yes.
Coaching and therapy.
No, please.
So therapy, let's make sure we're in the present, right? Because that's where all the power is. Therapy takes you in the present and then pulls you into the past so that you can be informed about why you do what you do.
Yes.
Like, how did we get here?
Yes.
Coaching sits in the present and makes you look towards the future about how do we strategize about what comes next. So I'm future leaning, where therapy is backwards leaning.
And my roommate, he's done therapy, and he's talked to me about, and they were like, Lamar, I don't think you necessarily need therapy. Like, you're kind of aware, like, you're not saying I don't need it, but more so you might need more of a life coach. You need more of a coach, because like your past, you kind of
you're working with the coach.
Right, exactly. So I feel more like that's more so direction versus like, you just tell me what I did wrong, what went wrong. I'm already cognizant of those things. I kind of know I'm very self-aware.
You might not be. Here's the thing, though.
And there may be some things not.
There might be some blatant subconscious things, though. So I would say, I think everybody should start with therapy.
Okay.
See how far they go and how much they need. And then if you think it makes sense, pivot to also have coaching.
Okay.
A lot of therapists have a therapist and a coach. So it's good to have both sometimes, because sometimes some old stuff comes up. I think for me, I've tried to do therapy and it doesn't work for me anymore, only because the therapist always ends up letting me be my friend, and then ends up asking me. So I'm like, who's paying who for what now, sis? So I think I've gotten so much therapy that right now coaching is probably the only thing I would ever do.
And I watched a recent episode of Humanized with Aaron, and
oh, that was fun. Aaron's the shit.
Actually, me and Aaron have known each other for like a year and a half, but we finally just met like last month.
Really?
Yeah, like we never just were in the same room. I knew who he was, like I knew exactly who he was, but we just never like met. But Aaron's an amazing guy.
Yeah, he's fun.
Very fun.
We keep each other on our toes, because he's a Gemini. You know, they like mischief.
That man said on a scale of 1 to Aaron. I said,
I said 1 to Aaron. He's like, yeah, because I'm going to compete with myself.
That's some bars.
I was like, you trying to get laid from my show, aren't you?
when
somebody's that smooth. You know what I realized too is that like I love people that I can go back and forth with without it being personal.
Right.
Like I love a good like witty banter. So I'm recognizing that what I thought I wanted in my tribe has shifted a lot in the past 6 months.
And I've even said, even when I do decide to get in a relationship, I want somebody I can kind of like.
Do you mean that?
I mean that.
Let me tell you how the men in LA that I've met have worked. I want to look right into the camera. A lot of y'all have this thing where you don't say it, but you have this persona of, no, I want somebody to challenge me and X, Y, and Z. And the first time you get challenged, you show your ass like your daddy. It all goes out the window. And so my thing is, you're saying that, and I believe you believe it. Watch how you react the first time it happens, though. Yeah. I've had several good dudes be like, no, I want a woman who's gonna push me and X, Y, and Z so I can be a better man and tell me what I'm doing wrong. And the first time I'm like, hey, that thing hurt my feelings. Kevin Samuels jumps out your body. Like, what just happened, bruh? Like, you just said you wanted.
You know, I have tough skin.
No, but here's the thing. I would tell anybody, man, woman, whatever, is fight the urge to be defensive. Because that's insecurity.
I can feel you on it.
Only an insecure person gets defensive. And so there have been times that I've watched somebody, particularly masculine energy, try to assert their dominance while being defensive. And I'm like, oh, you're showing me how hurt you are. Like, people don't realize the more emotionally intelligent you are, things mean the opposite of what people think they mean. The person who can be honest and be like, you know what? I had a bad day. I haven't been able to pay my rent because I'm between gigs. I do feel a little shitty right now. I might have had a little bass in my voice. I'm sorry. That vulnerability, that's actually what confidence looks like. But the need to scold like you my daddy, only a nigga who's insecure does that.
Talk your shit.
So I'm just saying,
y'all
y'all might want to go against your instincts.
And I'm pretty sure through this class that everybody's able to learn and pinpoint those different things.
Yeah, people always cry in my classes though.
They do, and I remember when they first started crying, I was so uncomfortable. I'm like, y'all really crying, huh?
I looked over, Lamar was in the corner like, oh man, what the hell is
tears.
You tried to be on your phone. You were trying to block it. I could tell you trying to block it out.
Absolutely. Not going to lie to you.
It seeped in, though.
It definitely did.
There were a couple times I overheard you talking to people on the phone. I'm like, this nigga sound like he took the workshop. Look at that.
I did, Blue.
You did. By osmosis, you actually kind of did. No, I actually think my biggest teaching right now is that I'm having to learn how to turn it off. I love helping people so much that I've now sometimes gotten into relationships where I handicap my partners because they're expecting me to nurture them in that way. I'm not your coach if I'm dating you. I'm not your coach if I'm your friend.
Now we sound
if there's not an invoice attached, I'm not your coach.
Get paid.
Like, I get paid to be a coach. And so there's a lot of people that I really adore that I'm pulling away from because I have to coach just to be able to deal with them. They don't show up honorably in the way that I deserve. And so I'm learning to just like fall back and not always have a teachable moment.
And you've always been a person that's been strong about your boundaries. Even like if you watch Blue and you follow her and you watch her little Instagram lives where she has some crazy filter on and everybody's coming in and she's talking for 45 minutes or sometimes 15 minutes, you always stress the point about my boundaries are important. And I think a lot of people nowadays, I hear different conversations, everyone's learning how to say no, and that no is okay when I don't feel like doing that. It's not good for me, it's not good for my space, not good for my energy. Why is boundaries so important? Why should people tap into like creating those boundaries? I'm
so happy you asked this question because some of y'all got a hold of these words and are like weaponizing them. Some of y'all boundaries are trash. I'm gonna look right in the camera. Some of y'all ain't got boundaries. You just hurt and want to be in charge all the time. So the first thing is examine why you have that boundary. Do you have that boundary for a healthy and honorable reason? Or do you have that boundary because you're scared of engaging and you are creating a space where you're hiding in a box? Some people's boundaries are trash. They always say, trust your gut. Bullshit. Don't trust your gut. Clean out your gut first.
Sometimes it's not always.
Some of y'all guts is trash, right? Clean out your gut first. Have a colonic. Have an emotional colonic. Like, deal with your stuff and say, hey, this boundary is feeding my best self. Once your boundary is feeding your best self, then you can assert your boundaries. Got how people like assert some real trash boundaries. Also, too, Aaron had a thing. It was amazing. What the wellness, I think it was.
Yep.
With him and Brian. I was in the room and I was listening and I was so proud of them. But I always got to be the one with the spicy question.
Of course.
I spent the entire time listening to people talk about boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. If you don't respect my boundaries, you got to go. Everybody gets real like self-righteous. And I simply raised my hand and said, so guys, we've been talking about giving boundaries. Can we talk about how to receive boundaries? Because a lot of y'all big on telling people what not to do, but can't nobody tell you shit. And it's giving hypocrisy. So can we talk about the humility it takes to also receive boundaries in return and not be a one-sided boundary giver? Do you know to this day, people who were in that room are still stopping me to ask me to like talk to me? I went to the Send Help premiere 3 days ago. Because somebody stopped me and said, "You're the girl with the boundaries question." I was like, "Why y'all?"
Not you, not a girl with the boundaries question.
I was like, that's what I'm known for.
I thought you get a different name every week.
Yeah, I know. You the girl who made Oprah cry. You
right?
Like, yeah,
yeah.
It's always something. But like, no, I was like, that was a month and something. He's like, no, that stuck with me because there's a self-righteous thing that happens in mental health spaces where everybody wants to talk about how they get to be superior. So a lot of people get self-righteous in setting boundaries and saying that anybody who's ever inconvenienced me had me fucked up. Very few of us are equipped to actually receive that in return. And so I'm just gonna say, it's important to give boundaries, but it's also important to build a bandwidth and capacity to receive boundaries.
Absolutely.
It can't be one-sided. And that's what really concerns me. As someone who's an OG, you know, I have a young spirit, but my license says otherwise. When I started doing this work, social media didn't even exist.
Yeah.
So I'm an OG, like I had to like go into the workshops like face to face and do all this stuff. I didn't have memes that I could like look at to like sound pseudo smart. I didn't have an algorithm that was gonna help me get folks. I had to be like, you know, 10 toes down the old school way. And so 19 years into my career, there are people who are learning about boundaries on Monday and creating workshops and being experts on Tuesday.
Shout out to Clubhouse.
You just learned this.
Shout out to Clubhouse.
There's lots of people in their mother's basements in Clubhouse talking about how to be a millionaire.
Right,
You can't make rent,
buy
bruh.
my ebook.
So everything, and you can attest to this, everything that I talk about, I live it. And so I would love everybody to spend less time trying to be superior, less time trying to be a guru. Everybody wants to be a guru. I was doing this work for a decade before I even felt qualified to run my mouth to anybody else. And so I want people to be like, don't worry about looking important. Worry about feeling whole. Because once you feel whole, the need to pontificate and always be right goes away. And like, there have been so many arguments where I was 100% factually correct. I still compromise because I don't need to be right. I need to connect.
Yeah.
Because being right is filling a void. Connecting means way more to me. Because here's the thing too, right? A lot of you are right and you're sleeping alone with a body pillow.
I need one of those.
I'm just saying, like, do you want to be right or do you want to be in communion with people?
Everybody, and you actually do this, and so you know zodiacs is a big thing too, and it's kind of
astrology.
People love astrology. Everybody feels like they're experts about. Oh, you're a Scorpio, and they don't really know what they're saying. They're just saying because or they heard. But you actually studied this. And you actually talk like
since '96.
So you know this thing. What's your thoughts on that? Because we've talked about the whole boundary thing. Everybody loves zodiacs. I don't know my rising and my sunset.
You
and
should.
I have to figure out
how you look before you don't know.
I had to figure out the time I was born. That's the missing piece.
Oh, right. That's really important.
And I had to figure it out. It's not on my birth certificate. So
the time that you're born is really important because the planets change like every 90 minutes to 2 hours.
Right.
So every minute
so people be throwing out zodiacs and retrograde and everything left and right. But again, this is part of your living. This stuff you do daily. Like you.
That's how me and Brian became friends. He was appearing on. Brian was appearing. I came to support you in the live. And Brian had been watching my tarot and zodiac stuff during the pandemic, and he saw my name. He's like, "Oh, I know, Blue. I watch her videos on YouTube." So that's so funny that you're how me and Brian became.
Wow! Look at that. That's amazing. I had no clue.
We have you to thank for.
Look at that, because Brian was on season 2 of Live with Lamar, and he was on Instagram.
So Live with Lamar is how me and Brian actually became friends.
Look at that.
I have to give you your flowers.
Oh my God! I get my flowers. I get flowers.
Take your flowers. Take your flowers.
So everybody's so big into zodiacs and
it's a tool, right? And don't turn it into a handicap. My thing is anything out of balance is bad.
Okay.
If you eat too much food and get sick, it's bad. You eat too much candy and get sick, it's bad. So like I think the astrology thing is really great. It's a great tool, but you can't let it lead your life. But you can also acknowledge when it does have validity. You know what I mean? Like I love doing chart readings, and I do chart readings. BlueCentricShop.com/readings.
No, definitely. She does it all. Spiritual candles.
In fact, I've done like 4 hours of reading before I got here, which is why I'm like, oh, I'm so happy I'm not having to read anybody right now.
Yeah, I get to read you.
I did pick up a message for somebody in this room, but I'll tell them after we're not rolling.
Oh,
but
wow.
I do chart readings, and one of the things that I love about chart readings is it tells you what raw materials you were born with. But it's up to you what you do with that. Because there's certain things that are in my chart that are no longer valid because I worked through them. I was like, okay, I'm a Taurus. So
your chart can change.
No, your chart is always the same. It's your raw materials.
Oh, okay.
But whatever you like, do more of.
Okay.
And whatever you don't like, do less of. But you have to know what you're looking at.
Gotcha.
Some people all the time, people are like, I know me. Pause. Let's wait, because words matter. Being self-conscious and being self-aware are not the same thing. You can look at something all day and have no idea what you're looking at. You can look at yourself all day and have no idea what you're looking at. I know a lot of folks who are self-conscious as hell who have no self-awareness. And so your chart kind of objectively tells you, right? So like, perfect example, I'm a Taurus. Taurus is supposed to be really nurturing and reliable and stubborn and all these things. but I'm with the shits. I'm a little spicy. You know what I mean? Everywhere I go, there's a little razzle dazzle. I can't help. It's a little inappropriate, but in a good way. In a good way. And then I realized there's a lot of Gemini in my chart. Gemini is a sign of mischief. Now I understand why when I'm in a room full of Tauruses, I'm the one kikiing in the corner. I'm the spicy Taurus, right? So like my chart kind of gave me permission to like make peace with certain parts of me. So I really tell everybody, get your natal chart assessed. It is a game changer because once you know who you are and why you are, you can become something new.
And go through
it's like the whole caterpillar butterfly thing, which is, by the way, how I got the name Blue.
Because of a butterfly and
yeah, my government name is not Blue, y'all.
I guess not.
It's Emanuela. It's Maria Emanuela. I am very much from Latin America. Have you figured out how to pronounce my name yet?
No.
Okay.
You Blue.
You want to try?
Emmanuel.
That's fine. Emmanuel means Jesus. It's fine. Maria Emanuela does mean Mary Jesus. My mother's very Catholic. She didn't even have to marry in Jesus. Had I married a man named Joseph, I would have been the whole Holy Trinity. Yes, my mother's a mess. No, I really do think though, like I'm trying to make emotional intelligence sexy because a lot of people I meet act like they're intimidated by how aware I am. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you're only going to be intimidated if I'm judging you. People think I'm going to weaponize my gifts. Mm-hmm. No, I don't judge people. It's so funny. Everybody thinks because of what I do for a living, I must be the most judgy person ever. I'm too busy watching y'all judge yourselves. There's not room for me to judge you.
And the one thing about Blue, if you know her, she's going to speak her mind. She's going to speak about it. It's going to be a writing about it. It's going to be a blog about it. And formerly on Hollywood Unlocked, farewell to such a great time and tenure
I know.
You guys did.
Jason misses us.
Right. Jason, bring my dogs back.
Keep randomly texting me and Damon's like, I got an idea for a show. I was like, okay, make it happen. He misses us. I know he misses us.
Y'all had a great run. You did great on that. Yeah. You might have, like I said earlier, you probably get a different nickname every week because you weren't always the most likes. People would say some crazy. You're like, why are you mad at me for being truthful?
Well, here's the funny thing is I got a lot of love, but it was always the loud minority that was in the comments. I don't read comments, but my friends would screenshot them. I've never ever run into anybody in the street who didn't show me love. And so it's like there's a couple folks on social who want to be loud. Also, too, I think Melissa Ford had a couple of bots who she was trying to go in the comments and make me look bad.
She was formerly on Hollywood.
She was formerly in Hollywood. And she hated that the audience felt something for me. Because here's the thing about this town: there's a lot of fat phobia, right? Nobody expects the big girl to be the Beyonce too. So she thought she was going to be giving main character energy, and I was running circles around her without trying, while still feeding her lines and showing her grace. So like even me giving you an alley up, the audience kept on liking me. And so when I replaced in Hollywood Unlocked, a lot of her internalized nastiness came out. And so and here's the thing, and this is how people don't talk about it. Folks will create like fake accounts and have their like gay boyfriends and homeboys like go on comment sections. So a lot of times, be like, Melissa, is that you?
Girl, I see you.
Girl, I know that's you. And this is not me speculating. I used to hear her on the phone, sicking people on people.
Wow.
And this is something that happens a lot in this town. So because I know that bots are real and haters are real, in real life, I got nothing but love. I've never had anybody come up to me and say anything crazy. And also too, like, how are you mad at the person who's staying in their lane? I didn't even swerve. I'm minding my business. So like, why are you angry?
Like
I know. I took it back. I took it back to Scrappy. Yeah, you know.
What's your favorite? If you had, I'm pretty sure there's so many moments that you enjoyed. Do you have a favorite moment or maybe a favorite guest that you had a chance to?
That's a great question.
Interview?
I think my most memorable moment was the first episode.
Okay.
Because we taped it at 1:00 in the morning on Floyd Mayweather's private jet.
I remember that episode.
That was a long day.
Floyd's short. He's short, huh?
He's not 6 feet tall.
It's okay.
Look, I'm not trying to get in trouble with the money team.
Money team.
Floyd has the spirit of a giant.
That he does.
He was very charismatic.
I believe that.
I was very like intrigued by how charismatic and emotionally intelligent he was. So like Floyd knows how to read the room.
Come on, Floyd.
And he also knows how to read books, y'all. That like he knows how to read. Everybody always asks me this. Floyd knows how to
That's a troll. He bothers everybody.
I've also heard he's very charming in person.
Really?
A lot of people play the bad guy as like a role for the coin.
It's good clickbait.
There's a good money. There's a lot of money. There's two ways to be rich in this town, right? If you're trying to have a gimmick, either be the person who's the maverick. Like I'm a maverick. I'm gonna say whatever the hell I think. Mm-hmm. Whether it's Floyd, Kanye, whoever, I'm gonna always be me. Mm-hmm. And then there's the villain. Those two extremes tend to always get attention. But here's the thing, though. I'm not a maverick who's trying to be sensational. I just don't have This is just how who I am naturally.
Yeah.
Were you around when I found out about my diagnoses that I'm neurodivergent? For those of you who don't know, neurodivergent means that you are on the autism spectrum.
Wow.
I know, but here's the funny thing.
Makes a lot of
If you had a circle of everything that makes you a genius and everything that makes you autistic, 60% overlap.
Wow.
And the part that I have is the part of me that feels the need to lie never developed. And the part of me that's scared of people never developed. So there's nothing in me that says you're better than me. I have to lie to you to make you like me. So a lot of times when I'm answering purely like a child. Like a child is just being sincerely honest. And the times when I'm being the most sincere, people get so angry.
It's kind of like Northwest, because I recently came across her roasting Kim Kardashian. She be telling all the truth, and she'd be like, Kim be like, and she'd be like, Mommy, why are you talking like that? Mom, why are you doing that? And she'd be like, North, you're not supposed to say that. North's like, I just was speaking my mind.
At my big age, I'd be like, why'd you lie?
Why'd you lie? That's some shit North be saying.
No, but like, no, seriously, no. But I'm really sincere. Like,
right, you're like, yeah.
Hey, friend, like, you just lied. We had a whole conversation, and now you're lying to this girl's face. I'm like, why'd you lie?
Why did you lie?
I can't believe this bitch is coming from me. No, you just
lied.
You factually lied. And I love you.
Why.
And I'm just curious why you lied. And so knowing that my brain is literally predisposed, it's not like something I have to learn. I'm going to be honest. I was talking to one of my friends who's a clinical psychologist, because we all travel in packs. Mm-hmm. And she was like, Blue, I think a lot of times neurodivergency is evolution. The things that hold human beings back, you guys are born without it. So like, I don't want, and I was like, what's the therapy for being neurodivergent? Because once you realize you have a thing, you want to, what's the therapy? The therapy would be them teaching me how to be less honest and less sincere. That don't feel like therapy to me.
That don't feel, you want to be less.
Like, people pay me to teach them how to do something that I was born with. And so it's really made me think about the way that we look at autistic people, anybody who's just differently. Like, we're judging someone because they don't have the ability to subscribe to being passive aggressive. They don't have the ability to have society manipulate them into being dishonorable to themselves. They don't have the ability to filter bullshit because they need you to tell them the truth the first time.
Facts.
I don't want to unlearn any of that. So I declined getting the surgery not the surgery, the therapy, because I was like, no, this is my superpower. And it also pays my bills.
Come on, superpower.
It's my superpower.
Superpower.
Well, you know. And also, too, like, I also feel like because a lot of black people in particular are neurodivergent, that's why I'm being vocal about my diagnosis. Yeah. A lot of y'all have this. You can be like, Blue, a little autistic, so is your cousin.
Yeah,
don't start. Black people love to rename things. They be like, she ain't got no filter. She a little autistic. Or it's just the sugars. That's called diabetes. Or my favorite, bubble gut. You are lactose intolerant. Stop, you guys. Bubble gut does not exist. You are lactose intolerant.
We got our own dictionary. We got our own medicines.
Sugars, bubble guts, lactose. I'm like, y'all, black people.
Ginger ale fixes everything.
It really does fix a lot of stuff, though. It'll knock something out of you. I don't know what the science is on that, but science has proven that chicken soup actually does help you. I think ginger ale might actually cure some stuff too.
You ever heard the thing where you put Vicks Vapor Rub on your feet?
I've heard of putting Vicks Vapor Rub on everything.
Everything, yeah.
It just opens up your...
It just does it. Dude, I told my roommate that. He was like, well, I said, yeah, bro. I don't know where but just put it on and put a sock on.
Black people are witches, which is why when I tell people I'm a witch, and they're like, oh my God, Christ be with you. I'm like, your grandma was a witch. Shut up.
Like, it's all these rituals. And
we always have these herbs and these concoctions. We have these apothecaries. Like, we're very spiritual people. Yes. But, you know, white Jesus has taught us to be ashamed of that. So that's a whole other episode. Shout out to my Christian friends. I'm not a bad witch. So
shout out to my religious friends.
Usa. I'm not religious, though. That's one thing I've recognized.
Yeah, I'm not either, but shout out to them.
Yeah, I'm deeply spiritual, though.
Definitely spiritual.
Which sometimes scares religious people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because...
it's that whole... They're like, what do you mean you're not?
Well, here's the thing, right? This is something I heard a long time ago, and I love to cite people because I hate plagiarizing. I know that's rare these days.
You're a journalist.
But I'm trying to remember who said it. But they said that religion is for those who are scared of going to hell, and spirituality is for those who've already been there. And so for me, if I ever got into my story, like by the time I was 7, I had seen too much. And so I think that's why I'm so naturally spiritual, because a lot of times I love religion. I love the theater of religion. Yeah. To me, religion, like a lot of churches should get Tony Awards. It's all razzle dazzle. It's theater. Church. You don't go just because you don't like the theater. It's very theatrical.
No, it's very too much.
It's a show, okay? Which is why there's so many gays at church, because the gays love a show, honey. So you see how that works?
Don't they?
Full circle. Who would play the organ? But that's why I had to step away from the church, because I was like, the very people who are holding you up are the people that you're judging, and that didn't sit right with me. Right before I came here, my friend Ben, he's a pastor. He's a gay pastor. I actually came from watching one of his sermons. So it was beautiful to hear him like say, I'm not gonna let the church, the traditional church, keep me from God.
Yeah.
Those kind of Christians I love, because God is for everybody. If you're gatekeeping God, you are not my kind of Christian. Sorry.
Nah, it'd be like that.
A lot of Christians love me in spite of themselves, though. They'd be like, I know you're supposed to be a witch and stuff, but I feel like you got a good heart. I was like, and
I do have a good heart.
Those two things can coexist. So I think for me, I think religion, whatever makes you feel like you have a purpose, go for it. I'm not gonna judge you.
And it's all about, this goes to my next point in your podcast, Humanized, but you also, during your journey in Hollywood Unlocked, you had a chance to sit, eat, meet Kanye West, and do this great thing with Kanye during Black History Month. And then I recently came across a post that you also recently came across where you were speaking about it, and it was like, people, you were talking about basically how people like dehumanize Kanye West, and you may not agree with him and XYZ, but like you really spoke about within like the Black community, we tend to dehumanize each other.
We're taught to, we're socialized to. Yeah.
XYZ. Talk to us a little bit about that, and even working with Kanye. I love Kanye. Kanye's a great ass guy.
Kanye's a human being.
But people try to make,
He's a human being. We're all human beings, right? Here's the thing. They cut this part out, but he had said something, and then I said something, and I was just speaking from the heart. Because you know how, again, my brain literally doesn't have that button that says it's Kanye, don't say that.
Yes.
Because my thing is, if it's true and it's kind and it's righteous, I'm going to say it.
So most people probably wouldn't, because it's like, it's Kanye. Like, I'm not trying to...
Yeah, and I said it, and I gave Jason the mic back, because Jason knows who I am when he handed me the mic. And Kanye was talking, and he's like stopped, and he turned back, and he said, "Thank you for checking me politely." And I was like, "I checked you?" And they were like, "What you said made what
most
you said."
People probably would have been...
And I was like, "Oh, I guess I did."
I was just being honest. You were just saying what the...
I wasn't thinking I'm about to chin check Kanye. I'm thinking, oh, like, this is a blind spot. Let's address it. Like, thank you for bringing that to my attention, Kanye. Like, let's address it. But when he said, "Thank you for checking me politely," I felt so good, because my entire life I've been trying to figure out how to still be honest the way that I am while still being inclusive and not shaming people. I don't believe in using shame as a currency. Yeah. And the fact that this man who has been shamed left and right by the community, me being sincere, he still felt like I was hipping him to a blind spot, but did it without being egregious or nasty. I'm like, oh, I finally figured it out. Good for me. But I will say this though, like, people can also see your heart. Like, I'm very sincere. Even if I piss you off, you're like, that bitch really meant that. I don't know if I fuck with her now, but she really meant it. You know what I mean? And I think when people I meet are determined to misunderstand me, I'm at the point of my journey where I'm like, that's you. Because I couldn't be any clearer to anybody who actually wants to know who I am. Yeah. So I think Kanye thing, I see him as a human. Me and Kanye are not that different in age. And so I've watched him come up. He had an impact on me growing up. I'm not going to rewrite history because he said things I don't agree with. Right. I will, and I have written several op-eds about how he needed to do better, because that's my job. But like, he's still a human being to me. And I think Black people have been socialized. So it's not our fault that we're like this, but it's our responsibility to change it.
Do you think he needs help as people continue to...
I think everybody needs help. I think everybody should really be worried about themselves a lot of times. If he's saying something harmful to the community, speak to that. But like, let's not throw people away. The only folks I throw away are the folks who don't want to be with us. Like Ben Carson, or Candace Owens, or... whose Uncle Ruckus' name? Clarence Thomas. Like, if you're not skin folk, but you're not kinfolk, like, then you can go, right? But if you are a Black person who likes being Black and who likes other Black people, I'm gonna have a hard time throwing you away. I'm gonna hold you accountable. I might hurt your feelings. Absolutely. But I'm not gonna throw away other Black human beings, because we've been disposable too much, even though we're the sauce and the source. Everything literally started from us. Everything started from us, guys. It did start from Google it. It did. You know what I've been thinking is about how your generation is so good and bad. It's bittersweet. On one hand, you guys are the most bitter generation I've seen when it comes to relationships. So unhealed. Trust issues. Like just bitter, like creating false narratives for clickbait. But on the other hand, you guys are the most socially conscious. And so I'm just like, I hope that we're not accidentally creating a bunch of lonely activists. Right. Because it's like, you know how to talk to the man, but you can't talk to your homegirl. Nah. And so that's why I think emotional intelligence is going to save our generations to come, because that's where those two things collide. Like, hey, I'm going to talk to a white man about how he's an oppressor. Mm-hmm. But I always say this, and I said this on another podcast I was on. I think it was Bridget Kelly's show. Mm-hmm. Everybody has access to privilege at some point. The fact that we're in a house with indoor plumbing, we have first world privilege, right? We have developed nation privilege. Everybody has privilege to some degree. Whenever you're in the room, identify who is the white man in the room. Who is the privileged person in the room? And if it's you, do what you ask white men to do. Shut up and listen. So if I'm talking to a man about misogyny, he's the white man in the room, even if he's a black man, because he has a system built for him because of patriarchy. So I often get mad when I hear people talking about, well, she did that and I did this. She is mad at you as one person. Like, she did something that hurt you as one person, but you represent a system. Whenever you have a system behind you, you have to be humble and listen. And I think a lot of times people of color, we're so used to thinking that white people are the only people who have privilege. When we have privilege, we suck at listening. Perfect example, look at the whole thing with the whole spaz comment. We are not differently abled, right? And so we are so used to thinking black people have to like talk. When a disabled person says, hey, that word hurts me, what do? We do the same thing white folks do. We want you to explain why your feelings matter. Well, I always use it and I didn't mean it like that, so what's the deal? You sound like Bob from accounting right now. And so my thing is, black people are in a space now where we're becoming hypocrites because we've gotten so drunk off of the self-righteousness of being woke that we've forgotten how to listen when it's our turn. And it's the same thing with black women. I tell them all the time, black women are no longer the bottom of the food chain because trans girls are beneath us. So we have to shut the fuck up and listen too sometimes. And so if you do not know how to shut up and listen, I don't want to hear you speak because you're a hypocrite.
Shut the fuck up and listen.
If you don't know how to identify when you're the white man in the room, then I don't want to hear you speak. Sorry, half the audience probably got mad at me just now. I'm okay with it.
It's all good. And you hear your podcast, Humanized, you have so many different people of different walks of life and everything. And it's called Humanized.
Because we're all human.
We're all human.
And you see how that's full circle?
Exactly. And you explore and it's such a great podcast. It's on Spotify. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere now, yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You can listen on all platforms.
That's how I met Jason Lee.
Wow.
Jason Lee was my last guest on Humanized, my first season, right before the pandemic. He came on Saturday. They announced we were in a pandemic on Wednesday.
Goddamn pandemic.
I know, but I love that he came because that's how I ended up on Hollywood Unlocked. He loved that interview so much. When he had a free spot, he thought of me. So you never know who you're talking to. That's why I talk to everybody like we're cousins. That's why I call everybody fam.
Right.
You are fam until you vote yourself off the island. When I stop calling you fam,
then you know it's things ain't what is.
Look, I'm very transparent. I think you can attest to that.
It is, and we get that through all shades and walks of life and.
Also, too, I'm wondering who's your audience. Do you know what your key demo is like?
That's a great thing.
Who watches this show? I'm curious.
That's an amazing thing because that may be something important for me to figure out.
Because my thing is this: I would love it if young black people, men and women, watch this and found themselves asking themselves if they are equipped to take feedback.
I mean, my typical guess is black entrepreneurs, creators, and entertainers.
And those are all places where ego is rampant. I highly recommend Ego Death, guys. You know what an ego death is? It's when you chin check yourself and deconstruct all the ways you've gotten in your own way. Like you kill off everything weak so the ego no longer has a job, and then you build it back up with healthy things. So an ego death is you sit there and say, how am I full of shit? And you actually answer honestly. And then you do something about it. Honest. Even the things that, perfect example, I had somebody who took my class and I think I'm not gonna say her name. And she was doing so well until we got into the part about exes. And she could not let go of the narrative that her ex wasn't the devil. She's like, nah, he left me with a baby, X, Y, and Z, that nigga the devil. I said, pause. He was a young black man who was not equipped with the tools to show up as a partner. He was not equipped with the tools to be a healthy father. And he was in a place of pain, and you were in a place of pain, right? If you can create space for your pain, you can also create space for his pain. It doesn't excuse what he's done, but can you leave space for the fact that he still has feelings, though? How do you speak to his feelings without enabling him? She fought me on it, because in her mind, she's like, he doesn't get to be human, he's a bad guy. There are no bad guys. We're all just human beings doing human shit.
So smart.
Really?
I always think that. I'm glad you're smart. I'm going to test your intelligence. So I'm starting a new thing on Live with Lamar. Okay. You're one of the very first guests to actually do this.
What, about to be Jeopardy?
Almost.
Okay.
Actually, yes, in a sense.
Oh, here we go.
Straight to the end, the very last end of Jeopardy, though.
Okay.
It's like a final thought question I have for you.
Okay.
And I pick questions.
I'm nervous now.
my guest personality in, where I know them and how well. You're so.
What is my personality, Lamar?
You're very upfront, straightforward. You're gonna speak your mind. I don't want to say opinionated because I feel like that's such.
I'm compassionate.
There we go.
Because there's a way that I could have said everything I just said that could have been a lot more.
Different, but nah, it wouldn't be Blue.
Yeah, you're funny. All right, hit it. So what is the question?
Blue. You now can have some control, some power to an extent. But if you tomorrow were voted as the first Black Afro-Latino president of the United States, woman, all those amazing things, that's a lot of firsts. What would be one of the very first things you change in office?
The very first thing I would do is free all the people who have been in prison for non-violent offenses for marijuana, while millions of people make billions of dollars now commodifying it.
Wow.
So Uncle Joe would be coming home. Like, that'd be the first thing I would do. Second thing I would do is make emotional intelligence a mandatory part of the curriculum.
For like in grade school and things?
Yeah, because I started teaching it to kindergarten through, I think, like K through 12. I'd make it a mandatory part of the curriculum. And I would also make sure that race relations and racial bias was taught in all schools, on a federal level. Wow. Forget the debates about, should we be teaching critical race theory? Critical thinking in general should be taught to all children.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Blue for president.
You know what?
Blue for president.
Do you know my friend just reminded me that Barack Obama's following me and I totally forgot?
Barack follows you? Oh, you really lit.
Barack Obama's following. The thing is, I've known that for years.
One day, Barack, he's going to join your class. He's going to hit you up one day.
That's the thing. I rode in the motorcade with Michelle Obama, and it's to this day probably one of the best moments of my life. It was so amazing. And I will say this too, I feel like Forrest Gump, because a lot of times when I tell people what I've done, they think I'm lying until they see the pictures. And that's why I take so many pictures and videos. And document it. If I don't document it, y'all would not believe me. I've learned that the hard way. People think that Black women can't live extraordinary lives. And so if I was like, yeah, Barack Obama follows me and I was in the motorcade with Michelle, I have a picture of me in the motorcade with Michelle, because people are so used to lying, they expect you to be lying too. The most radical thing you can do in 2022 is tell the truth.
Tell the truth. Shout out to Jussie Smollett. Sorry, just tell the truth.
That's a very specific shout out.
It was the song "Tell the Truth" was on Empire. It was on the soundtrack.
Oh, yeah. I love that you showed him love. He needs it right now.
He does.
He needs it. We have some mutual friends. I'm sending a hug to Jussie.
Jussie needs it.
Was that the last question?
That was the last question.
Oh my God, that went by so quickly.
I know, it did.
Oh, that was fun, Lamar.
No, it was great. You've been fantastic. I think we've learned a lot. Thank you so much.
Did you? Because you're not just be talking.
No, it's good. Like because sometimes you have interviewers, you pretty sure they don't say shit at all, and you have to say more.
They're horrible at their
You're going to give me more, so it's great. I'm just like...
On a podcast, you have one job, and that's to talk.
Just bring your mouth.
You had one job. Just talk. I actually have people coming to my podcast, and I could tell they were expecting not to talk. And I tricked them into laughing, and then we just started talking. That's
what it always is. You want to be very organic.
You're very organic. I'm very proud of the way that you're formatting this, because, I was like, I hope he's not pulling out cue cards like, so,
nope.
What's your favorite color?
We know we talked about that, because nobody wants that question, answer.
No, you're modeling everything we talked about. I'm very proud of that.
Thank you so much.
Yay.
How can everybody keep up with you? How can they follow you?
Oh, we're still rolling. My bad. I was trying to give you your flowers. Okay, I'm at Bluecentric. And that's BLUE and Centric CENTRIC, or at Blue Telusma. I don't use that page as much, but it's still up. And if you want to do my emotional intelligence workshop, we are opening, registration's open right now.
Yes.
OTS2022.eventbrite.com.
Definitely sign up.
The fellowship is amazing. Lamar's taken the class by osmosis.
Yes, I have.
Tears are shed, but we laugh more than we cry. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Blue, thank you so much for being a guest. I really appreciate you. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, I'm your host, Lamar. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, social media, Lamar Robinson TV. And tune in for another episode of Live with Lamar. We just getting started. We got like a lot more episodes before the season over with. So we here. Appreciate the support so far. And we out.
Oh, I love that.